Gentlemen, we're going to get started with our meeting. We have one more board member on the way, but we can take care of some items until he gets here. So if you've not, so I'm calling to order the September 26, 2023 meeting of the Board of Zoning Adjustment. If you've not been here before, we hear two types of cases: appeals of zoning code violations, and we also hear requests for variances and special permits. The process for variances and special permits works that we will call you up according to the printed agenda. See here, there's a sign-in sheet. Please write your name legibly for a court reporter. The city will give a summary of the case, and then we will call on you. You have 5 minutes to add anything that you feel like the city left out when they were giving a summary. And then we will allow for others, interested parties, neighbors, concerned citizens to speak. Each person has 3 minutes on the record to speak. We will just call you up with a raise of a hand, and you can come up and do the same thing. If you know that you're going to speak on the record tonight, when I ask for your name on the record, I will ask if you have been sworn in. And so to eliminate swearing everybody in separately, I would like to swear you all in as a group right now. So if you please stand. Raise your right hand. Does the testimony you give tonight, do you promise it will be the truth, nothing but the truth? Please say, I do.
I do.
Thank you. There are 4 members that will be present tonight. In order for a variance or special permit to be granted, you have to have 3 approval votes. We are usually very transparent as we go through the decision-making process. And if you feel, let me say it this way, if you get a no vote, the only way you can bring the request back is it has to have a change of facts. So you can't just bring it back the next month with the same issue. So if you feel that you're trending towards a no vote and you don't want to get the no vote, you can ask for a tabling, which means that you would go back, make some changes, make some community amends, if that's the case, and then bring your case forward. No prejudice. So we can talk through that if that presents itself, but I wanted to just tell you that since we only have 4 people up here. So with that said, let's talk about any preliminary matters we need to get to.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, we do have 2 preliminary matters. One is a tabling request. The second is the appeal. If we please handle the tabling request from the regular agenda first.
Okay.
That would be number 2 on the agenda, BZA 23-072 at 4577 Parkwood Drive.
Okay, will the applicant please come forward? Hello, sir. Say your name with an, and can you pull the microphone closer to you? And is it on?
Yes.
Yes,
Can you state your name whether or not you've been sworn?
Brian Bertman, yes, I've been sworn.
Okay, state your request.
Request tabling.
Because,
I missed, the area commission meeting. I never got a response on an email for any sort of an appointment.
do you have that now?
The,
Do you know when the next meeting is?
no,
We're still waiting.
are we waiting for Dane? Dane was supposed to get there.
Yeah, so, what happened, there was a miscommunication between the, area commission, Sprague Hilltop Area Commission and the applicant. The applicant was, I believe, under the impression that there was that final hearing. He's been through the zoning hearing, the preliminary. Was under the impression that the final determination would be made internally, and the area commission was expecting him to be at the meeting present. So he was not present at the meeting, but, they will be having the next month's meeting, and I would get in contact with the area commission to make sure that they have you on the docket and that you know when that's going to be happening again. Anything with the area commission is you deal with them directly, not through the city.
All right, thank you.
Nope.
Okay, do we have anybody that's here that was going to speak about this case, 4577 Parkwood Drive? Okay, do we have any concerns from the board members? Do we have a motion? To table?
Motion to table.
Second.
Okay, please call the roll.
Mr. Jones? Yes. Mr. Malika?
Yes.
Chair Plummer Bailey?
Yes, table, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead with our regular agenda since we're waiting on our other members to handle the appeal. Case number 2344 Woodward Avenue. Wait, 1 second. 1 second, I'm sorry, man.
So we are gonna call the appeal.
We don't have another person.
According to the city attorneys, they said they can call it. You're okay to call it? If not, we can wait a few more minutes. Is that okay?
Well,
I'm not making a request to table. So just so the record is clear, my recommendation from the city attorney's office is to wait until all 4 members are present before any motion is considered for the appeal.
There it is.
Okay, we'll wait.
Okay, I guess that's it. All right, thank you.
2344 Woodward Avenue.
Wow.
2344 Woodward Avenue is located on the north side of Woodward Avenue, approximately 200 feet east of Sunbury Road. It is zoned rural and is part of the North Central Area Commission. The 1.32 acre site is developed with a single unit dwelling. Surrounding uses are primarily single unit residential dwellings. The applicant proposes to change the use of the single unit dwelling to an educational facility. Variances are being requested to reduce the minimum lot area in the rural district from 5 acres to 1.32 acres and to reduce the parking setback line from 25 feet to 10 feet. Planning has no comment on as the North Central Area Plan does not address the matters of lot area nor setback reduction. Division of Traffic Management has no comments. The North Central Area Commission recommends approval of the request. Staff can also recommend approval as the variance is intended to legitimize the current size of the site, and the applicant has collaborated with the Division of Traffic Management to ensure that the parking setback will not adversely affect the site. Madam Chair.
Okay. Hello, can you state your names and whether or not you were sworn in?
Karen Gaynor, yes. Jennifer Jordan, yes.
Okay. Do you have anything else you want to add to this application?
I think they did say that both of these, variances have been in existence for very many years, for over 10 years.
The conditions?
Yes, the 2 variances that are requested.
Okay.
The rural, spin zone rural for very many years, and it's also, the parking has been in existence for
Okay.
well over 10 years, the existing parking.
Do we have anybody here that wants to speak about this application? Any board members, do we have any questions?
Yeah, was this annexed into the city from, Mifflin Township, or? There's just always been a rule in that location.
Typically when properties are annexed in, they're designated R rural.
Right, that's why I was asking if it was annexed and they're looking like a no.
Also, that's the city border, right? That range lines.
It's not that big of a deal, I was just.
Yeah, it says annex right there.
Yeah, so it was annexed.
Okay.
I'll call the question.
Questions been called, please call the roll.
Mr. Malika?
Yes.
Mr. Jones? Yes. Chair Plummer Bailey?
Yes, variance granted, thank you.
Thank you.
5335 Harvest Street.
The representative is on her way,
You want to wait then?
please.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
we'll move you to the back. 1625 Sterling Avenue.
Sixteen 1625 Sterling Avenue is located on the northwest corner of Sterling Avenue in Old Country Lane. It is not part of an area commission and zoned LM Limited Manufacturing District. The 10.64 acre site is undeveloped. Surrounding uses are residential to the north, manufacturing to the east, and an undeveloped parcel to the west, and I-670 to the south. The applicant proposes to construct a rental car lot. Variances are being requested to allow for stack parking, to not provide or interior shade trees, to not provide striping or marking, to reduce the parking space size, and to increase the maximum number of parking spaces. Planning is supportive of the proposal as it is generally consistent with the plan design guidelines. Staff continuing to encourage screening of the proposed fencing for greater consistency with the guidelines, but do not condition support on this request. Division of Traffic Management have no comments, and it did have an area commission. It's the Northeast Area Commission. They recommend approval of this request. Staff can recommend approval since the variances are necessary for site development, given that the parcels are situated in two different zoning districts. Additionally, staff note that the proposed lot is generally consistent with the surrounding area. We're asking for the condition that the variance will apply to fleet vehicle parking only, not customer parking.
Okay. Can you state your name, whether you were sworn in?
Eric Zartman, attorney for the applicant. Yes, I have been sworn in.
Okay. So let me ask City, what is the significance of it being two different zoning districts? Is one more restrictive than the other?
Yeah, you can't combine the lots.
Oh, okay. 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 Do you have anything else to add about the application?
Yes, please. I would just like to add a little bit of context. So Avis Budget Rental, their current facility is on the airport property. The airport is conducting some expansion, so they pretty much got evicted off of their site. They found this site, which they thought they were fully entitled for exactly what we're proposing. But interestingly enough, they're only half right. The west part of the property allows exactly what we're proposing, and the west and the east part does not. It's because they're in different limited districts. They're both manufacturing districts, but they have different limitations. So the variances we're requesting is essentially to allow long strings of stacked parking. It complies with the area plan, which recommends airport commercial uses for this property. Also, there's a pet palace on the west side, and on the other side is another lot, just like ours, from a competitor that has proposes a fleet vehicle parking. So it's consistent with the area plan. The area commission voted to recommend approval unanimously. We worked with the area commission and the planning department throughout this process to increase the landscaping, and we've committed to a landscaping plan. We also agreed to the commitment that this is just for fleet vehicles and not for customer parking. I'd be happy to talk about any more detail about the variances or anything else, or have to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Any questions?
The only thing I'm not, we do not have the landscape, but do we want that as part of this?
It wasn't a condition.
Okay.
You'll notice in the landscaping plan, it increases the buffering along Sterling Avenue with some additional trees and screening, and then also screening along I-70 along the south.
I was just thinking because the area commission approved it based on having this incorporated, that we should have that incorporated.
I don't see why not.
Yeah, are you comfortable with this?
Yes,
Does the city already have a copy of this?
I must have been my mistake. I thought I already submitted that, so I apologize.
Okay, so
We can stand it.
stamp this one right here? Good. Are you, and you're also amenable to the condition that it is only fleet vehicle, no customer parking?
Correct.
Okay. Is there anybody here that wants to speak about this application? Okay, seeing none, are we ready for the question?
I'll call the question.
Mr. Jones? Yes. Mr. Malika?
Yes.
Chair Paul Bailey?
Yes, variance is granted.
Thank you.
Thanks, stamp for site plan, thank you. 254 Dakota Avenue.
Two fifty-four Dakota Avenue is located on the east side of Dakota Avenue, approximately 150 feet south of West Rich Street. It is part of the Franklinton Area Commission and is currently zoned R2F residential district. The approximately 0.5 acre site is currently undeveloped. Surrounding uses include single unit and multi-unit dwellings to the north, south, east, and west, as well as a small commercial warehouse and a small corner market fronting West Rich Street to the north. The applicant proposes to split and combine the existing 5 parcels into 6 new parcels. These lots will be used for the construction of 4 duplexes. The first 2, which will be constructed on the 2 largest parcels, will be 2-unit dwellings. The other 2 duplexes will each be split down the middle to create a total of 4 single-unit dwellings, each on their own separate parcel. The applicant is thus requesting variances to reduce the lot width from 50 feet to 40 feet for the two 2-unit dwelling lots and 20 for the 4 single-unit dwelling lots, to reduce the actual lot area from 6,000 square feet to 5,100 square feet for the 2-unit dwellings, and from 3,000 square feet to 2,550 square feet for the 4 single-unit dwellings, and to reduce the minimum side yard from 3 feet to 0 feet for the single-unit dwellings to facilitate the parcel split down the center of those duplexes, so they'll have a shared wall. Planning supports this proposal. Staff support the elevations as consistent with C2P2 design guidelines. Staff continue to encourage additional trees on the site, such as street trees, but do not condition support upon this revision. Also, I should note we have 2 separate sets of elevations. Planning has, they're fine with both of these. They're just 2 potential options that the builder might go with. They could be a combination of both of them, or it could be going one or the other. And we will get those both sets stamped if it is approved. The Department of Traffic Management has no comments, and the Franklinton Area Commission recommends approval of this proposal. Likewise, City Department's recommendation is that approval. Staff can recommend approval of the requested variances as the housing density on the resulting lots is consistent with the surrounding neighborhood and the city's goal of increasing the housing supply within Columbus. We do recommend the following conditions: that the applicant will commit to stamped elevations to ensure consistency with C2P2 design guidelines. Here.
Okay. Can you state your names, whether or not you're sworn in?
Eric Skidmore, Franklin Development Association, I am.
And Dave Perry, have been sworn. I'm here consulting with Franklinton Development Association.
Okay, who's going to speak on this application?
Sure. The application is as stated by staff. Franklinton Development Association owns 5 parcels in R2F. All of the parcels meet the lot of record standard in the zoning code and could be developed with either single or 2-unit buildings. The purpose of the application is various lot splits to result in larger lots for the 2 family dwellings, and then variances related to the total of 4 attached single family dwellings.
Is there somewhere to see all of this? I'm having trouble visualizing the single families, the multi-families, and it's all just a discussion. I can't see anything. I see 1 parcel marked.
So the site plan that we have up here, so these 2, which are on the north end of the lots in question, those are going to be duplexes, and they're all on one lot. And then these 2 that are on the last 4 will be essentially half as wide as the lots to the north, and they'll be split down the center of that duplex, so it'll technically be, yeah, gotcha. So it'll technically be, they'll share a wall, but each will have their own parcel. And so there'll be single unit dwellings that share a shared wall, kind of like a townhouse would be a good way to think of it, I would assume.
Why are you doing that?
That is part of so this is in cooperation. 2 of them are going to be rentals. 2 of the duplexes are going to be rentals. 2 of the duplexes are going to be part of the community land trust model, in which there is I don't know how familiar, we don't have to go too far into the weeds, but effectively this is their preferred means of doing that. So they're going to be transferred back to the community land trust and then sold to homeowners with a ground lease in order to preserve the long-term affordability.
Understood, thank you.
And so this is their preferred method of.
Thank you.
Yep.
So, but we only have one property before us.
You have a total of 5 existing parcels?
Yeah, so these are the existing parcels. 2, 3, 4, 5. The middle one was selected, which is why it is blue, but it is 5 parcels currently.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, do you have any questions? Is there anybody here to speak about this application? Okay, if there are questions, we ready for them?
Yeah, I'll call a question.
Questions been called, please call the roll.
Mr. Maleka?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Chair Colin Bailey?
Yes. Variance is granted.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we have our 4th member here, we're ready to call our appeal. I don't have the address.
It's 845 North
Oh,
Wilson.
yeah, 845 North Wilson, appeal, we're ready for all that. It's like
All of us.
yes.
Yeah. Those are PDFs.
Yeah.
Okay,
Names down.
yes, please.
I believe you're gonna ask for a tabling, correct, Joe?
Yes.
So,
Oh, so we're not even gonna go with the city
well,
code enforcement? Okay.
the city can address the tabling.
Okay. Sorry, is that your name or whether you were sworn in?
Sure. Joe Miller, Voorhees, Seder Seymour and Keys, 52 East Gay, Iowa, sworn in.
Okay, go ahead, your request.
We would ask that this matter be tabled for 60 days. There are several violations that have been fixed. 2 that remain. One is the city's allegation that the use is inconsistent with the site plan. We disagree with that, but we have filed an amended site plan. If we work through the issues with code enforcement and the zoning department, that will move the need for any hearing. There is a remaining issue related to a graphic. We asked for and received a similar continuance from the Graphics Commission for 60 days last week. And so what I would seek to do is use that time to work things out with Maggie and with the zoning administration so that we can kind of obviate the need for any appeal before this body.
So why did you file the appeal?
We filed the appeal. I'm sorry, sir. We filed the appeal because we disagreed that this is being used inconsistent with its site plan, but we continue to talk with the city to understand their concerns. And in an effort to try to resolve the matter, we filed that amended site plan for the city's consideration.
Amended site plan's been filed?
It has.
Okay.
And there, we could go through each of the violations. None involve any life safety issues, things like parking lot striping, repair of the fence. I would hope we could agree with code enforcement that those have been fixed. And now it's a matter of trying to get on the same page with the city for the site plan itself.
Okay. We'll hear from code enforcement. Ma'am, please say your name, whether you're sworn in.
Yes, Madam Chair. My name is Margaret Lafferty, and yes, I have been sworn in.
Okay. So go ahead with your thoughts on the request.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. The city of Columbus is prepared today to move forward if the request is to be heard. We were made aware a few hours ago of the request for the tabling. In being made aware when we arrived at the meeting, we also were notified that they had also submitted a revised site plan. So with that, they have provided us some documentation. However, it hasn't been looked over, and the other would be that it's just paperwork at this time. But the city of Columbus is ready to move forward, and we don't have a position on the continuance as this is their appeal.
So I get that you're prepared, but I guess the question is, do you have an objection to the tabling? I mean, are you in agreement that you're working with the applicant to get this resolved? Or do you think that there's not a resolution to be made?
Well, I guess the resolution to be made would be the revision to the site plan. My initial order saying you're not abiding by the current site plan. So if you heard the matter this evening, it would be my notice that was written back in July stating you weren't abiding by the site plan that you had submitted. So I do have that ready to be prepared as the notice has been written.
Right, but I think in the past, we have had instances like this where the applicant is coming forward to say there is an issue with the site plan and we're trying to get that resolved. But we need the city to say they are in agreement that that's being resolved. We don't just take one person's, if two people are resolving it, then both people have to state on the record that they're resolving it.
I don't want to speak for the city. We are endeavoring to resolve the issue, but Ms. Boots kindly informed me before the hearing that the city did not oppose the request for continuance.
If you want to say something, you can come up and say something.
Sure, thank you. My name is Wendy Boots. I'm an assistant director with the Department of Building and Zoning Services. The city, again, we just found out about the continuance. We don't really have a position of opposition to the continuance. It is their appeal. So, at this point, we do need to review this new submitted plan. We have no knowledge of exactly what's on the plan, but we are working with them to review that.
Anyone have any questions?
I have a question. I mean, when we routinely look at this, we look at a set of facts that existed. You meeting, you revising, you doing any of that doesn't change that. So in my opinion, I don't see any reason that we wouldn't proceed with the appeal. And if they have a resolution, then they will be found no longer to be in violation once they resolve that. I don't see, tabling the appeal to change any set of facts that happened in July or otherwise.
I respect that position, certainly. What we're trying to do, though, is just make the notice of violation moot and be in full conformity with the law. If we went forward with the appeal tonight, I would demonstrate to you why we are using the site plan, using the property in compliance with the site plan. But I think probably the better portion, in my opinion, is to just try to work out the issues fully and finally with the city and not bother this board with a full-blown appeal if we need not do so. In 60 days' time, if we need to, I'll be fully prepared to defend that position.
Thank you.
Site plan can be approved in 60 days?
If it meets code.
Yeah, again, we can't commit to that
Well,
on either side.
we could table it and certainly either Ms. Boots or I could come back forward and say, now it's time to hear the appeal, whatever the board's pleasure is.
Yeah, I think we've done this in the past. So I'm comfortable with that. Okay, we don't receive call from witnesses on this one, so we are in agreement. Is there a motion?
A motion to table.
Second.
Mr. Lowley,
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Malaka?
Yes.
Chair Pompeo?
Yes, tabling granted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Six.
1002 Loch Ness Avenue.
Uh, 1002 Loch Ness Avenue is located on the northeast corner of Blade Street and Loch Ness Avenue. It is zoned R1 residential and part of the Northwest Civic Association. The 0.2 acre site is developed with a single unit dwelling. Surrounding uses are primarily single unit dwellings. The applicant was cited for having a tree with mature foliage taller than 1.5 feet within the 12 feet of the right-of-way line. A variance is being requested to allow a tree with foliage within the clear vision triangle. Planning supports the proposal as presented. The Northwest Area Plan states that existing landscaping should be preserved and that street trees should be provided as part of development. Therefore, planning supports the proposal as presented. From traffic management, upon further review of the case in the subject, the proposed site layout would not appear to adversely impact intersection site distance or site distance from adjacent driveways. The Division of Traffic Management is able to support the requested variance to reduce the minimum code requirement vision triangle dimensions. All comments from the Division of Traffic Management have been resolved. The Northwest Civic Association recommends approval of this request. Staff also recommends approval as the area plan states that existing landscaping should be preserved. Additionally, the Division of Traffic Management has determined existing trees do not adversely impact intersection site distance or site distance from adjacent driveways. Additionally, there are 10 letters of support from neighbors that are already been.
Okay. Thank you. Sir, can you state your name, whether you're sworn in?
Yes, my name is Todd Long, and yes, I was sworn in.
Okay, do you have anything else to add about this application?
I appreciate Mr. Trimmer's summary. I do just want to say that there appears to be neighborhood support for this. I believe there's a dozen or so letters supporting the variance. We also attended the hearing on August 31st at the Far Northwest Homeless Coalition, and they have suggested approval of this variance application as well. I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you for getting your neighbor's support.
Actually, it was the sign that we put in the yard.
Okay. Do we have anybody here that wants to speak? Please come forward. Just have a seat right there.
Yep.
Hold the mic to you. Can you state your name, whether or not you were sworn in?
William Woods, I was sworn in.
Okay, go ahead.
3 minutes.
3 minutes. I'm going to be reading from a prepared statement. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the committee. My name is William Woods and I reside at 6838 Glade Street, the property immediately to the north of 1002 Loch Ness. The property's backyard and western front yard, which includes the driveway, abut my property. I have 2 young daughters that delight in riding their bikes and scooters and showing me just how fast they can be. In my professional career, I serve as an auditor. It is my responsibility to assess risk, consider controls, and identify weaknesses in procedures in both current and future environments. Thus, it is my personal and professional nature to be considerate of risk in all aspects of mine and my family's lives. The current situation violates Ordinance 3321.05, vision clearance. If it did not, a hearing regarding the situation would not be necessary. What is being considered tonight is how to proceed. I question the practicality, legality, and precedence set by approving a variance in this matter, given the significance of the impact to the safety of pedestrians, especially small children walking, running, or playing on non-motorized vehicles, as defined in Columbus Code of Ordinance 2101.061 and referenced in 2173.105. Citing recent reports from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration analyzing available data from the years 2016 to 2020, on average, 264 deaths each year were caused by being struck by vehicles backing out, with 39% of these deaths occurring in residential spaces. Their statistics show that children are a significantly vulnerable population due to their size and maturity, with 50 children injured in 2 childhood fatalities weekly in the United States from backover accidents. Guidance from Kids and Car Safety advises trim landscaping around the driveway to ensure drivers can see the sidewalk, street, and pedestrians clearly when backing out of their driveway. Pedestrians also need to be able to see a vehicle pulling out of a driveway. Unfortunately, I do not see how this scenario is one that qualifies for a variance or waiver of this rule. And given that this rule is specific to residences with driveways that abut such access, it appears clear to me the rules devised for mitigation of risk for such accidents as backovers in driveways. There are dozens of this same species of tree all around our neighborhood. With the exception of the trees in this matter and 2 directly across the street to the south, which were planted in 2021, I have not seen any within the vision clearance zone that do not have a 6-foot or higher canopy or thinning to significantly impact the opacity of the trees. These responsibly managed trees provide shade and purchase without creating a public safety risk, and I urge the board to enforce the plainly written rule and vote not to legitimize these plantings, especially in light of such a straightforward, widely implemented mechanism for compliance. In addition, the Northwest Coalition did not have a quorum at the meeting where this incident was heard, and of the 10 letters that were presented in support of this, 1 of them is no longer in the neighborhood. and all of them focused on aesthetics as opposed to pedestrian safety.
Sir, have you testified in this room before?
I have.
About what?
About a similar vision issue to the north of my property.
So anybody on either side, both people on either side of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know how to answer that.
One clarification, was in regards to a fence. These are in regards to continuously developing plants as opposed to a static structure.
Okay, thank you.
So the city traffic, division of traffic management has determined that the existing trees do not adversely impact intersection site distance or site distance for adjacent driveways.
This is not a matter about a driveway or motorists.
But
This
it
is
is, no, but it is a driveway that we're talking about, the site distance from the driveway.
from the driveway to the intersection, I believe is their language.
No,
Okay.
out of the driveway, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it depends on which vision clearance you're referring to. The typical vision clearance we deal with, the triangle, that's just for the driveway to the sidewalk. Site distance for the intersections would be site distance for the adjacent intersection to the, I believe that's to the south of this.
Yeah, it's on the other side.
It's on the other side, so it's not impacted by the trees.
So your point is correct.
So, yeah, I'm just trying to say, that's, I mean, if the business traffic management says it's not a site distance issue, I don't know who else can rely on to make that determination.
Yes, whoever has an opinion on pedestrians then.
Well, I mean, we have a whole division on traffic management, that's what I'm saying, like, they're saying it's not an issue. Yeah.
And you're welcome to ask me anything on traffic management. I've been in communication with Daniel Moore.
So I need you to.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
So, yeah, state your name, please, and then whether you've been sworn, so we can get all your testimony on the record. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Laura Woods, Dr. Laura Woods. I have been sworn.
Okay, go ahead with your testimony.
I'm a first-generation engineer, a public servant, and a mother. I reside with my husband and my two daughters at 6838 Glade Street. Pardon me, I need my slides. I sent a deck. I'm sorry. I sent a deck to Mr. Trimmer for the purpose. I apologize for the delay. I just hope this won't cut into my time. I do have a prepared statement and it comes in at 3 inches.
Are you showing a thumbnail?
We're waiting for
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
You're the guy and you're looking like, what's next?
No, that's fine. Fair question, fair question.
I apologize. I have also been here once before and my slides were not received or shared at that time. So I want to make sure they're up before I.
All right, let me just go ahead and share screen before we begin. All right. Good to go.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I reside with my husband and two daughters at 6838 Glade Street, which abuts the residents on Loch Ness on the side of their property that both abuts and has vehicular access to Glade Street. I sincerely hold the opinion that this is such a straightforward violation of the code that it does not merit a variance, as it counters the letter and foundation of the vision clearance rules, such that granting a variance to this degree of violation invalidates the rule entirely, obfuscating the entire section of code. Having made that statement on record, I now wish to share some personal photos, some assessments of the situation, and a straightforward path to compliance. Picture 1. This is a shot from my property line while I was gardening, showing that the vehicle backing out of the driveway at that moment is already halfway over the sidewalk before having a modicum of visibility required by the rule. Picture 2, please.
But hold on a second.
Yes, you can.
You can't assess what they can see from that picture.
Line of sight. My children understand if I can't see you, you can see me. That's just physics. Apologies.
Okay.
Picture 2, please. This is a picture of my daughters trying to learn to ride their bikes and scooters, and mine having zero ability to
help spot vehicles backing out without being in front of them. I have to have them treat this like a crosswalk in the city, such that they must come to a complete stop and may not cross the lot unless one of us is walking in front of them to give them the okay. For every compliant house, which is every house except for the two that border our property, unlucky as that is, for every compliant home of the 300 in our neighborhood, I can clearly see them. There are no cars, no open garage doors. This lets me give them permission to go ahead 2 or 3 houses while they practice balancing and braking, as Columbus guidance calls for children to ride on their bicycles for ages 10 and under. Those are the code my husband cited. Picture 3, please. This is an engineering representation of the photo with my daughters, showing and the geometry and corroborating the approximately 6 feet of visibility through the application of guidance received by Daniel Moorhead of Columbus Division of Traffic Management in an earlier case. Granted, this assumes that the trunks are 10 feet from the sidewalk, but I believe that the homeowner stated they are 9 feet from it. Also, the blue curve represents a 3-foot distance, whereas a measurement taken this week with the quick growth that's occurred even since the application, they are now 2 feet from the sidewalk, which is represented by the curve in red. Picture 4, please, if I may continue. This is an overhead view of the county auditor's site. I have roughly sketched the building and setback line in yellow and the vision clearance line for driveways in blue, with the trunks of these trees shown planted 2 to 3 feet within this zone. Also, these trees weren't there when we purchased our home. Picture 5, please.
I'm sorry, they were or they were not?
They were not. When we purchased our home, vision clearance with all in compliance on both sides of our lot, including our own. Picture 5, please, and these are the last 2. This picture is a comparable tree 4 houses down, which we found evidence of having been planted, of having been the same size as these trees in question in 2007. It measures at 6 feet from the sidewalk, and as you see here, is beautifully trimmed with a compliant canopy height, and its spread extends well beyond the sidewalk to 1 foot from the street, indicating its radius is about 15 feet or 30-foot spread. Final picture. This engineering diagram shows the comparable tree I just showed you and translate what that looks like for these trees at 10 feet from the sidewalk once it reaches the size and age in a few years. Whereas ODNR states that these trees can readily reach 40 feet in spread. I strongly urge the board to reject the variance and cause the applicants to bring these trees into compliance with a canopy of sufficient height as to mitigate the impact to safe use of public right-of-way with regard to clear vision for driveways. I have a written copy of my statement signed.
When did you purchase your home, ma'am?
We purchased our home in 2014. We're first-time homeowners. My mother never had homes, so did me.
And these trees were not there?
These trees were not there.
And so these trees were planted as mature trees?
No, they were actually the cutest little thing, look like tiny Christmas trees that I don't have in Mississippi. And they quickly grew bigger.
Okay.
And sometime during COVID, while I was, depressed and watching my children and everything was on fire and felt like, they grew enormously around the time that my daughters began riding their scooters and bikes around when we became aware of the situation. And I might add, the individuals that wrote letters in support, most if not all didn't have children, and their children, if they do, are grown. And people without children just simply don't think about things like this often. I have to think of it every day when I tell my children, hey, I know all your friends can go up and down the block, 2, 3 houses down, but you can't go past this line at all because I can't see you and they can't see you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have one more.
Please go forward, sir. Can you state your name, whether you were sworn in?
Yes, my name is Kurt Knapp with Northwest Law, and I have been sworn in. I am counsel for the Woods, and they've asked me to supplement what they presented this evening. And I'd just like some clarification as to Division of Traffic Management, in that the sight lines, are those from the driveway to the street line or actual right-of-way?
Sightline is a different definition in the vision clearance triangle. Sightline would be a specific line from one point where we would assess the driver of the vehicle to the point where an object that they would be trying to see is located, whether that's be the lane or the sidewalk. The vision clearance is just an area that's established based on the location of the right of way. So those are different definitions.
Okay, so in interpreting this particular application, was the vision clearance of the 10-foot triangle assessed from the driveway to the sidewalk?
The vision clearance triangle is assessed from the edge of the pavement of the driveway to the right-of-way line.
Okay, and is that the sidewalk in this case?
I don't know that that's the sidewalk in this case, and it's not very often that it is the sidewalk. It's the right-of-way line.
Okay, so members of the board, it appears from my measurements that the right-of-way line in this circumstance for this street is actually the sidewalk, not edge of pavement. So in my calculations and in an actual site visit, the tree in question, which is the southernmost tree, is actually 2 feet away from the sidewalk and 2 feet away from the driveway. And it's got about a 16-foot spread. And in calculating that, there's not a 10 by 10 vision clearance, a 10-foot triangle vision clearance. It's about 6 feet that's cut off. So it does really present a significant safety hazard to pedestrians, runners, bicyclists that are using the sidewalk. And I understand the Planning Commission approved this, but I can't believe that they would continue to approve an application that would pose such a safety concern to the health and safety of the neighborhood. Additionally, these trees are going to continue to grow pretty quickly. They've grown the span has grown a matter of 8 feet over the last 3 years. So, you know, they're growing at a rate of a span of almost 2 feet a year. So in another year or two, they're going to be encroaching out into the sidewalk, and that's going to pose another health and safety concern. So for the reasons stated, the Woods would like that the variance not be granted and that the trees be brought into compliance either by removal or by addressing the canopy issue and raising the canopy so that sufficient sight lines can be established.
Okay. Anything further?
No, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you for your time.
Let me, I want to ask a question. How did you develop your measurements if Division of Traffic Management is saying they're not sure where that cutoff is?
Well, because I assumed that the right-of-way is the sidewalk. And it's Glade Avenue is a 50-foot right-of-way and pavement is 30 feet.
Okay.
30 feet wide, so that leaves 10 feet on each side, sidewalks 4 feet, plus there's a 6-foot area of grass.
And Division of Traffic Management is saying oftentimes it's not the sidewalk. That's why I was trying to figure out how you developed.
Did you get your answer?
No.
Okay. Yes, please come forward, ma'am.
Katie Long.
Wait, hold on 1 second. I think he's.
Sorry, I was just, let me fill this out.
That's fine.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi, state your name, whether you're sworn in.
Katie Long, sworn in.
Okay.
Just want to add, as a rebuttal, that the picture of the car coming on the driveway is a little deceiving. If you look at the trees, there's a lot more room to look over your shoulder when you're backing out of the driveway from the angle when you're in the driveway. And the other thing is the letters that were submitted. I'm sure that Adam can tell you that most of them have young children that have ridden their bikes through the neighborhood. It's not unusual that that is included in the letters. And lastly, I'll say, and I said this at the last meeting, that I understand the fear of a child riding a bike around the neighborhood. That is a scary thing when your child starts riding their bike around the neighborhood. If we thought they were dangerous, we'd have them down in a second, and we understand that, but they seem to be okay for now. Who knows what'll happen in 5 years? And the reality is too, that you can almost get hit by a car walking through the neighborhood if you're not a child. People are constantly backing out of their driveways, not paying attention. We happen to be a corner lot, so we have to be extra careful to begin with. We are on a side street corner, and so we have to look 3 different ways, whereas other people only have to look 2 different ways. That's all I wanted to add. Thank you.
Okay.
I think you are this man's spouse. This is.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I would just encourage you to continue to be mindful of, as the tree does continue to grow and expand, just that you keep it at a safe grooming, if you will.
Absolutely.
desire to do no harm.
I sense that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who wants to speak on this? So back to the applicant, I guess my question is, you planted these trees and with the expectation that they would grow to what size?
These were planted in September of 2014. We had some landscaping done at the house. I guess we didn't think about the final maturity of height. They were put in for screening from the street. As natural screening for the
I am inclined to defer to Division of Traffic Management on this one. I usually look to them for all vision clearance issues, so sorry to put you on the spot here, but.
No worries. Yeah, based on the vision clearance triangle requirements, which are what we look at to establish the ability of a driver backing out or pulling out of the driveway to see somebody on the sidewalk. The information that we have shows that these do not obstruct that vision clearance.
Board members, do we have any other questions?
I'm ready to call a question.
Question's been called, please call the roll.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Malacca?
Yes.
Mr. Walkley?
Yes.
Chair Paul Bailey?
Yes, variance is granted. Please keep in mind the size of the tree
Absolutely.
as it keeps growing.
Absolutely.
2135 Iuka Avenue.
I didn't sign this. I didn't sign
Okay.
this.
Ma'am, I would take a copy of your statement if you don't mind.
Yes, did they all go back?
Oh, you gave it, did you give it?
Sorry.
2135 Iuka Avenue is located on the north side of Iuka Avenue, approximately 140 feet west of North Fourth Street. It is zoned R2F residential and part of the University Area Commission. The 0.43 acre site is developed with a multi-unit apartment complex. Surrounding uses are a mix of multi and single unit residential. The applicant proposes to legitimize the location of a dumpster. Variances are being requested to allow a dumpster to be located in a required yard. Planning supports the proposal as presented. The University District Plan notes that screening of dumpsters should be done such that the materials are complementary to the building and that views from the adjacent property should be minimized. The proposal is consistent with these guidelines and therefore staff is supportive. Staff also notes that the proposal has received COAs from both the HRC and UIDRB. The Division of Traffic Management had no comments. The University Area Commission recommends approval of this request. Staff also recommend approval as the requested variances are to conform existing conditions and that the unique layout of the site prevents the dumpster from being located at the rear of the principal building.
Can you state your name and whether you were sworn in?
Joe Wilson, I was sworn in.
Okay. Do you have anything else to add to this application?
I think he said most of it. I mean, we don't have any other place to put the dumpster. It's been there for a long time. It was let go at some point, is why we got the violation for it. But we've painted the dumpster, we put new lids on it, we fixed the potholes. You know, we've put out rat bait stations to make sure that we control that aspect of it. We're ready to go forward if we're allowed.
Are we looking at what's finished or you're gonna do something
No,
else?
I think that's an older picture. I'm not sure how old that picture is, but.
Those look spliced together.
So that red dumpster, I have no idea where it came from.
So what are we looking at here?
The brown dumpster behind it.
So the red dumpster is not yours?
So when the city put out all those big dumpsters during the college turn season, it showed up. I called 311. They said, we don't know whose it is.
It's there currently.
It's there currently. That red dumpster is there currently. It's been there for about 2 months. I have no idea how it got there.
I'm sorry, I appreciate that, but
yeah,
I'm trying to figure out, looking at this site plan, it looks like I'm seeing landscaping going around it, but I don't know, is that a proposal or?
Oh, are you talking about like the bubbling around it?
Yeah.
That's usually just to call out, that area.
Oh. So you're not planning on screening it in any type of way?
Yeah, so I talked with the city and they recommended a fence to go around it.
That's what you have to screen it. Usually what you do, I'm not seeing the finished product, I guess, or a proposal for the finished product. He's just asking for permission to have it in front and then he's going to screen it.
Yeah, that's code.
But I mean, we don't see any.
There's a new wooden dumpster enclosure.
Yeah, it does look like in this site plan, there is some sort of wall around it.
Yeah, there's supposed to be it shows a dumpster enclosure around where the dumpster is, concrete pad.
This is so hard to.
That's fair.
Oh,
It is.
they're showing it like blown up.
Okay.
I'm not an architect, I have no idea.
Yeah, I believe we get it now. The new wooden dumpster enclosure.
So it'll have a brand new dumpster with a brand new enclosure around it.
Okay, I see.
Okay.
With doors that swing out in front.
And then
Okay.
we'll seal and stripe the parking lot. We've already fixed the potholes and all that stuff already, so we're there. I was just waiting for approval before I stripe the parking lot and everything, so we can get it underway as soon as we have to drag the red one out of there. Yeah, I don't know what to do with it. Like, I didn't know, it just showed up. There's 3 of our properties that have that red dumpster on it, and I have no idea.
You're probably
where they came
paying for it then and don't know it.
from.
I mean, usually they charge, put dumpsters to place dumpsters and then. they-
Well, during our turn season, like there was 40-yard dumpsters on the roads everywhere. And it was, I think it was from code because I got an email from Greg Hendricks. It was like, hey, just so you know, these, neighborhood cleanups are coming around like certain times.
For like bulk pickups.
Yeah, for like bulk pickups for MoDOT. So they showed up at that point, so I thought they were the city. So I'm like, I don't want to throw anything away that's not the city's, because it's not mine. So I called 311 and they were like, we don't know what you're talking about.
Is anybody here to speak about this application? Okay,
Call the question.
question's been called, please call the roll.
Mr. Malcolm?
Yes.
Mr. Waltley?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Chair Pompeo?
Yes, here's granted.
Thank you.
Okay. 1731 East Columbus Street.
Yes.
1731 East Columbus Street is located on the south side of East Columbus Street, approximately 450 feet east of Fruitland Avenue. It is located in Livingston Avenue Area Commission and is zoned R3 residential. The 0.13 acre site is currently undeveloped. Surrounding uses are single unit residential with a community center further to the east. The applicant proposes to develop the existing undeveloped parcel with a single unit dwelling is requesting variances to reduce the required rear yard from 25% to 18.6% of the total lot area and to allow parking spaces to be located in side yard. Planning is in full support of this proposal. Columbus citywide planning policies recommend that infill development be measured in terms of height, width, setbacks, lot coverage, and that parking be placed at the rear. C2P2 also states design and character of new development, including homes, additions, and garages, should be appropriate and based on the principal and nearby structures. And that street trees should be provided as part of the new development. Planning is supportive of the variances as parking in the side yard is compatible with the surrounding area. Will staff continue to encourage an additional window on the southern elevation to increase compatibility with surrounding homes? Support is not conditioned on this revision. Division of Traffic Management have no comments on this request. The Livingston Avenue Area Commission recommends approval of the request variance. Staff can recommend approval of the request variances because they will allow the home to have a similar front setback as adjacent primary structures. Although staff does not typically support parking in the side yard, if parking was provided in the rear, then the property would not have a usable rear yard.
Can you state your name, whether you were sworn in?
Yes, Emily Long Rayfield, and yes, I've been sworn in.
Okay, you want to have anything to add to this application?
I don't, that pretty much covers it. I guess I'm not sure how the logistics works. As you can see from the elevations, this is one of our modular units that we build for Healthy Homes. I'm working on getting that window in the rear put through, but since it's a modular unit, it gets state approved plans. And I'm just waiting on state approval. So likely we will have the window in the back. It's just not here right now on these elevations.
Is there anybody here to speak about this application? Do we have any other questions?
Call the question.
Questions?
I'm sorry, I do have a question. So there is parking or there is no parking?
There will be parking in the side.
And is that on the side where the ramp is?
Yes,
Looks like it, yeah.
the two spaces are right there off the, yeah.
So, tandem parking. So do you recommend screening of any sort?
Planning to request any.
I think it's appropriate.
Screening from what?
Waiting for, I would,
So maybe I'm confused. Is this the driveway is on the left? I'm sorry, it's facing in. I got it. Never mind. I thought it was parking from like an alley and going out to the street. Okay, thank you.
okay, ready to call the question?
Yeah.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Mobley,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yeah.
Mr. Malika,
Yes.
Chair Paul Bailey.
Yes, variance granted.
Thank you.
1415 Simpson Drive. We have one here for Simpson Drive. Okay. Moving to 641 Highland Drive. Sure.
641 Highland Drive is located on the south side of Highland Drive, approximately 370 feet southwest of Womack Avenue. There's no neighborhood group and it is zoned restricted rural residential. The 0.83 acre site is developed with a single unit dwelling. Surrounding uses are primarily single unit dwelling. The applicant proposes to expand an attached garage. A variance is being requested to increase the maximum square footage of the garage from 791 square feet to 1,245 square feet. Planning is supportive of the proposed building elevations as they are consistent with the Chancey West area plan. Division of Traffic Management has no comments, and staff can recommend approval to the proposed garage as the design will match that of the existing dwellings and is consistent with the Chancey West area plan residential design guidelines. We are asking for the condition that the elevation drawing will be stamped to ensure consistency with the Chancey West area plan, Madam Chair.
Excuse me, what is Olentangy West?
That's the area plan?
For the east side of Columbus?
No, it's in the east side. It's about Riverside Hospital.
I'm so far off. Which one are we on here? I'm sorry.
41 Highland Drive.
Okay, I'm on Simpson and.
Oh, yes.
Nobody came.
We're on to the next.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Are there elevations?
Yeah, I just
Shared it.
Yeah.
I'll come back.
Okay, state your name, whether or not you were sworn in, please.
My name is Mark Olson and I have been sworn in.
Do you have anything else to add to this application?
No, not much, just that, we're only, adding an additional, I think, 450 square feet over the limit. And, we are following the existing, roof line of the existing garage. So it should, remain largely the same.
There was a garage that existed here already, you're saying?
Yes, it is an addition to that.
Oh, in addition to the, okay, gotcha. Okay. Is there anybody here that wants to speak about this application? Board members, do we have any other questions? Right, Mr. Jones, you brought up.
I'm good.
I'll call a question.
Question's been called, let's call the roll.
Do we have to add the condition to the question?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. This is the final plan that we can stamp,
Elevation.
the elevation, sorry. It's dated,
That looks correct. Top right corner say MOAD.
it says A001.
Yep, no. Yep, MOAD.
Oh, yeah,
That should be Amelia.
okay.
I'll call the question with the condition.
Question's been called, please call the roll.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Malika,
Yes.
Mr. Mobley,
Yeah.
Chair Paul Bailey.
Yes, variance granted. Thank you.
Thank you.
700 Grandview Avenue.
So two that were just.
700 Grandview Avenue, located on the southeast corner of Grandview Avenue and Ridge Street. Located in the West Scioto Area Commission in Zone M Manufacturing. The 0.38 acre parcel is currently undeveloped. Surrounding uses are primarily manufacturing and commercial further to the north and multi-unit residential further to the southwest. The applicant proposes to construct an urgent care with a pharmacy and is requesting variance to reduce the building setback line from 40 feet to 11 feet along Grandview Avenue and from 25 feet to 5 feet along Ridge Street. Planning supports the applicant's proposal. Submittal of additional landscape screening with the additional street trees along the property frontage are in compliance with Columbus citywide planning policies, design guidelines. Because the main drive-through circulation is located behind the principal building, C2P2 supports the applicant's request for reduced setback. The Division of Traffic Management requested that proposed pavement markings be removed from access points, and this request has been satisfied. At the time of writing this report, staff did not receive the completed recommendation form from West Scioto Area Commission. I received that yesterday afternoon, and they were in full support of this application. Staff can recommend approval of requested variances because they allow the structure to have a similar setback as adjacent properties, and the addition of landscape screening and street trees help lessen the impact of the structure being sited closer to Grandview Avenue and Ridge Street. Staff is requesting conditions that the site plan be stamped to ensure additional landscape screening with the additional street trees along the property frontage will be installed and maintained.
Can you state your name, whether you're sworn in?
Aaron Heidinger, yes.
Okay. So state your name again?
Aaron Heidinger.
Okay. And you are the attorney?
Yeah, the agent.
The agent, okay. I'm making sure, okay. Do you have anything else to add to this application?
I think it's covered that's something I just clarified on the stamp. The landscape plan has a stamp on it and if you need it.
The landscape plan has a what on it?
You were saying for a stamp.
Stamped by the board.
Oh, okay.
We
All right.
stamp it, yeah. So yeah,
I'm
we,
used to it.
we see the trees here,
Yeah.
that's, you're in agreement with that?
Yeah, we're in agreement with all that. I just, I had a different type of stamp in my head.
Oh, okay, okay.
There's a stamp in the corner of the.
Yeah, there is,
That's
I
all.
see that.
The setback allows for the traffic flow to operate as is and work with the grade between Ridge Street and Grandview Avenue, so that's kind of what leads us to being here for this request.
Is there anybody here that wants to speak about this application? So did you sign the sign-in sheet?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have any other questions?
I'll call the question.
Questions been called, please call the roll.
Mr. Malika?
Yes.
Mr. Weatherly?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Chair Plum Bailey?
Yes, variance granted, thank you.
Thank you.
358 South Pelham Road.
Three 58 South Pelham Road is located in the northwest corner of Dale Avenue and South Pelham Road. It is zoned R1 residential and there is no neighborhood group. The 0.35 acre site is developed with a single unit dwelling. Surrounding uses are primarily single unit dwellings. The applicant proposes to enclose an existing screened-in porch to make a 3-season room. Variances are being requested to reduce the building setback along Dale Avenue from 40 feet to 10 feet and to reduce the total rear yard area from 25% to 16%. Planning supports the proposal based on the applicant's project description as it is consistent with the C2P2 design guidelines. Division of Traffic Management had no comments and staff can recommend approval as the enclosed porch is architecturally similar to other buildings in the surrounding area, and the variances are to legitimize existing conditions.
Okay, can you state your names, whether you're sworn in?
My name is Andrew Little. I'm the property owner. I made an affirmation.
Sorry, say the last part again?
I made an affirmation. I try not to swear oaths.
Oh, okay. But you were here?
I was here.
Okay,
Justin Sandersola, and I was sworn in.
okay, thank you. Okay, you have anything else to add to the application? I don't know who wants to speak about it.
The only thing I have to add, I emailed my description to Mr. Trimmer. I forgot to mention we're adding a wood burner, so there'll be a short.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I made my description to Mr. Trimmer. I forgot to mention, we're adding a wood burner, so I was thinking interior. So there will be a short chimney on one side. That'll be the only change that I didn't mention.
So,
You need to submit that. A site plan.
yeah, do we need,
It's inside, right?
Correct.
The wood burner will be, yeah.
So it's just a chimney.
It's just a chimney.
gotcha.
It won't affect the footprint.
It won't fix footprint, okay. So
Looks
that's,
like the whole thing, the existing doesn't affect the footprint, does it?
It does,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
closing it.
Yeah.
An open porch can extend into the setback and then, or an open porch can, and closed cannot.
gotcha.
But it doesn't change the reality.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anybody here that wants to speak about this application?
So tell me why we don't need to see a site plan or see this chimney, because it's something you'll see from the outside, right?
Well, it's not extending into the setback any further than the existing building. They'll still need a permit for it, of course, but it doesn't affect the site, doesn't affect the footprint.
Okay.
It doesn't affect the building lines.
Yeah, that much I know. I'm just looking at, like architecturally, like what does it look like?
We have drawings that we're prepared to submit with the permit request.
Don't worry about it. It's okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good. Do we have any other questions for this applicant? Are we ready to call the question?
I'll call the question.
Question's been called, please call the roll.
Mr. Waltley,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Malika,
Yes.
Chair Plum Bailey.
Yes, variance is granted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, circling back, 5335 Harvest Street.
That case through.
Mhm.
This seat has a lot more to it. I'm shifting it. So this is.
5335 Harvest Street is located on the west side of Harvest Street, approximately 1,034 feet south of West Case Road. This is zoned rural. And is part of the Northwest Civic Association. Sorry. 3.46 acre site is developed with a single unit dwelling. Surrounding uses are primarily residential. The applicant proposes to construct a room addition and an attached garage. A variance is being requested to reduce the building line from 40 feet to 27.8 feet. Planning supports this variance request as it is generally consistent with the Northwest Plan's residential design guideline. Staff note that the updated elevations were received and generally consistent with the plan's design guidelines as well. Division of Traffic Management has no comments, and the Northwest Civic Association recommends approval of the request. Staff is also recommending approval as the addition is consistent with the principal building and the proposed setback is similar to dwellings in the surrounding area. We are asking that the condition that the applicant will commit to a stamped elevation and site plan to ensure consistency with Northwest Plan Design Guidelines.
Okay, can you state your name when you were sworn in?
My name is Suzanne Atwater. I was not sworn.
Okay. Will you raise your right hand? Testimony you give with truth and nothing but the truth. Please state I do.
I do.
Okay. Go ahead with any testimony you want to add to this application.
I don't have too much more to add. I just purchased the home and we've been renovating it a long time, well, since May, but there's no garage currently. So adding one is necessary. Every house on the street has a garage and mine's the only one that does not. So, and there's nowhere else to put it currently because our street is on well water and there's a well right behind the house. So I can't put the garage.
Okay. Is there anybody here that wants to speak about this application? Hey, do we have any other questions for
Do
the
you want to
applicant?
speak?
I don't need to speak on it. I'm here from NWCA.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see your
No,
hand.
I
You raised it.
say waffly hand.
Okay, I'm sorry. So you do want to speak?
No, I don't have anything to say. I'm here to support the applicant.
Gotcha, okay,
We recommend approval.
Okay.
If there were something that was gonna be modified here, then I wanted to weigh in.
ma'am, can I get your name since you have spoken on the record and we need to have our person record that?
Monica Tuttle. Thank
you.
From Northwest City. Yes.
Thank you. Sorry for that. Okay, if no other questions, I'll be ready to call the question.
I'll call the question.
Mr. Joe?
Has been called, it's called.
Mr. Joe?
Reading my mind?
Yes. Mr. Malacca?
Yes.
Mr. Mobley?
Yes.
Chair Plummer Bailey?
Yes, variance granted. Okay, 1415 Simpson Drive, that person arrived at all?
So we're running late.
Do you mind me asking, ladies, are you here for a particular?
I'm observing.
You're observing, okay, okay, cool. So we do have one more item on the agenda before we close out our meeting. The city attorney wants the board members to take an oath.
What?
We'll have him come forward now.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll just give some background on this. So I circulated an oath of office pledge of ethical conduct because it sounds more serious than what it is. However, we've run into some issues with other boards and commissions, not the BZA, where this has necessitated a reevaluation of the city policy with regard to oath of office and pledges of ethical conduct. What we're doing right now is just kind of a base setting, just to make sure all the mayoral elements